Oh, here's the quote. The important thing here is that we have social hero archetypes that we look up to. Jesus is a hero archetype. Superman is a hero archetype. Real characters too. You know, I could name 1,000. You know, Rosa Parks, Ronald Reagan, all of these people embody certain attributes.
Even with the period, it sounds like he's calling Jesus fake.
Yeah, he could have been like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. This is what I meant. And that's a normal explanation, but he went on the attack, and that's really sus.
On the podcast, nobody would have understood it that way. I think you're twisting it that way.
I think you're twisting it that way.
Which is not very Christian.
He gets mad at her for questioning his faith.
So he just questions
her faith.
Yeah.
Like, man, maybe you're the one who's the fake. Maybe you're projecting, little girl. You're going to hell
He might
forever.
as well walked up and just football punted her in the head. Like, there's more respect in that.
Here's I wanted to play this video. I'll get it up on the screen. It's Representative Dan Crenshaw getting humiliated by a 10-year-old girl.
Oh, I heard about this. Let me see it.
Yeah, here it is.
Whoa. Yeah. Who hasn't heard, Crenshaw said, quote, "The most important thing here is that we have important hero archetypes that we look up to. Jesus is a hero archetype, Superman is a hero archetype. Real characters too. I could name 1,000. Rosa Parks, Ronald Reagan," end quote. I can't wrap my head around this.
Well, I'll help you. Put a period after the word Jesus and don't question my faith.
Wow.
Wow. Who's holding the camera here?
The camera angle's terrible, but this little
It's tilted. They're trying to make him short. I'm sorry. It's camera radiation.
Wow. Yeah, this 10-year-old girl was talking to him about how he had said on a podcast that Jesus, Superman are hero archetypes, and then he goes on to say that, you know, we have real life archetypes too, like Rosa Parks and Ronald Reagan, and she's like, I can't wrap my head around this. He cuts her off. Says, how about this? How about you put a period behind Jesus Christ and quit questioning my faith? To a 10-year-old girl.
Butt hurt.
As a politician, isn't like the number one thing you learn how to do is deal? Yeah, you deal with a 10-year-old girl. You're like, oh well, you know, I can see why you would think that. The way it sounds that I was saying that Jesus was not a real figure, but my problem is, you know, I was saying it out of order because when I think of Jesus, you know, he is the first hero that comes to mind. And that's how I was running.
You're better at bullshitting than this guy.
I'm so good at bullshitting.
Yeah,
there's a million ways to handle this, right? A million ways to handle this type of thing in public. As a politician, it's kind of your job to deal with questions like this, where you explain yourself further. And I feel like the best thing you could have done here is just be like, oh, well, what I meant on the podcast was, and just do that instead of being like, don't question my faith, you know?
Yeah.
He became a politician because he's a military guy, and they're like a different breed, I think. And like, didn't he lose his eye in battle or something?
Yeah, he lost his eye in battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an explosion of some sort.
There's more of this as it goes on. He just kind of digs deeper.
You moron.
The audience is turned on him.
Yeah, it's not hard to turn on a guy who just like yelled at a girl. I mean, not yelled, but like spoke to a 10-year-old like that.
It wasn't exactly yelling, but it wasn't exactly not yelling.
And with
either.
this crowd, it's also a little white girl too. I mean, that adds some extra.
Yeah, you don't talk to a kid like that.
I love the peanut gallery. You can't talk to a kid like that.
Boo! 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 Boo!
You guys can ask questions about all of these things, and I will answer them. But don't question my faith.
I can question your faith if this is what you said.
I mean, you can read the quote again. But nowhere in that quote am I saying Jesus is not real. That's a ridiculous statement.
He's mansplaining to a 10-year-old.
The thing that's funny about this is, number one, this 10-year-old's badass, okay? I don't know if the 10-year-old, like, I don't know the quote, right? We should probably actually look it up if we're talking about the story at some point. But I can do it in a second, or somebody in my chat can. I'm sure somebody in my chat will find it. But she doesn't like back down. Like, if you're a 10-year-old speaking to probably one of the most powerful people on the planet, relative, like, and if you were to rank the top 10,000 most powerful people, he's probably up there as a congressperson, right? You know what I mean? He's a powerful person. He's an influential person. He's also an adult with a mic speaking in front of a crowd that should be friendly to him, and you're just a 10-year-old girl. And he talks back to you like that, and she doesn't back down, which I don't know if I would have done that when I was 10. Also, Ranger and Rogue, thanks for the raid.
Of course he's the son of God, and of course he's real.
You can say two different things. You can say that on a podcast, and you can say this.
Oh, here's the quote. The important thing here is that we have social hero archetypes that we look up to. Jesus is a hero archetype. Superman is a hero archetype. Real characters too. You know, I could name 1,000. You know, Rosa Parks, Ronald Reagan, all of these people embody certain attributes.
Even with the period, it sounds like he's calling Jesus fake.
Yeah, because it was a separate category.
Yeah. Ooh. The thing is, he could easily just be like, "Oh, I was just fumbling on my words. I believe Jesus."
Yeah.
He could have just said something like that, but instead, he says he's been so angry now. He's given this little girl his mental game. He's given it up.
Yeah, he could have been like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. This is what I meant," and that's a normal explanation. But he went on the attack, and that's really sus. The way he just went on the attack
on a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
On the podcast, nobody would have understood it that way. I think you're twisting it that way.
I think you're twisting it that way.
Which is not very Christian.
He gets mad at her for questioning his faith.
So he just questions
her faith.
Yeah.
Like, man, maybe you're the one who's the fake. Maybe you're projecting, little girl. Little girl, do you know about you're gonna go to hell, little girl. You're going to hell.
He might
forever.
as well walked up and just football punted her in the head. Like, there's more respect in that.
Just grab her, like hold her, like just full on suplex her into the fucking table in front of grandma.
Yeah. Put her in a master lock until she falls asleep. There's more respect in that.
Oh my God.
Let's go, Brandon.
And I'm not going to have my faith question.
I'm not going to have my faith question.
I'm not gonna have my faith question.
Now you're going to have your character question because of the way you responded to it.
True. Oh my God. Is there anything else on this story? Any like
think
has he reacted to this, or has he like apologized?
I don't
or
think there's been a big reaction or apology yet. I'll look for that.
I think someone else kind of laid into him.
Yeah, this is from the same night.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh, we got another one?
Yeah.
My question is on the January 6th. What have you done to help any of these people that are being held without any due process?
Can we talk about this for a second? Can we pause for a second? So,
Yeah.
this is a thing where I've gotten heat for saying this, but I'll say it again. I don't give a fuck. The people who are in solitary confinement for these long periods of time should not be being treated like that. As much as I think that these people are disgusting and what they did was horrific, my position on solitary confinement is consistent in that it is, in many instances, used as a form of torture and should most likely be gotten rid of. These people did something horrific, but I hold this position consistently. I just wish that the people who care about it now will forever care about it when it's people that they don't like. Because it seemed like it was only when it was them, which, I mean, people are introduced into issues in different ways, and hopefully this is an avenue,
Yeah, I don't agree with the solitary confinement, especially for a very extended part of time.
There is no due process. They're political prisoners.
That I don't agree with. That shit is stupid. That shit is stupid.
And there is due process. They're definitely getting due process, but they shouldn't be in solitary.
Yeah.
You personally done.
It's psychologically damaging to be in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I mean, I understand the idea of removing somebody who was violent with somebody else and putting them somewhere else to like be safe, but in a lot of instances, that's not even what's going on here. And this is a whole other conversation, but I'm generally against solitary confinement. But the idea that they're political prisoners, I mean, like, if you do something that is illegal but political, I mean, maybe in that way, but I think he's suggesting the idea that these people were arrested because they don't agree with the FBI or Joe Biden. No, these people were arrested because they stormed the Capitol and they committed crimes.
Yeah, I remember when Chelsea Manning got arrested, she was in solitary confinement, I think, for a very long time.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was a political prisoner, like literally.
To help. Get them out.
Look, I agree with you. You can't, and this is a problem throughout the country. You cannot hold somebody without due process and without a swift trial. You just can't. They are doing it. And what power do we have? I wish I could tell you something. If there's a bill we could pass, that we had the majorities. I wish there was.
Have you done
pause for a second?
anything?
Yes.
There's not. He's being honest here. To be completely honest, even if he wanted to, there's not much he can do. The most he can do is try to like raise awareness or something along those lines. I mean, that's like the most he could do. There's not like he can't. There's not like the bill of this person must be removed from solitary immediately bill. I mean, I don't know exactly what he could do here.
He is being honest right here. I think the glory of this video is the reactions he's getting, and also even they bring that up, like, why haven't you supported them more publicly? And his reaction to that is interesting.
To help is my.
One other thing. Dan Crenshaw is somebody who I disagree with politically, obviously, but I also admire a lot of times, and sometimes he can be brutally honest in a way that I appreciate hearing. And what I mean by that specific, and let me tell you again, I'd never vote for this man in a million years. You could put a gun to my head and I wouldn't. But the thing is, when he talks about the Freedom Caucus, all he does is spit fire. Okay, if you ever heard this guy talk about the Freedom Caucus, he's like, these people are just fundraisers. They don't pass. You see Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these people, all they do is raise money. And all the people that they like condemn as like bad Republicans, bad this, bad that, they have more in line voting records with Donald Trump than any of these people in the Freedom Caucus. And he's just like completely spitting fire because Liz Cheney had a more in line voting record with the person who replaced her in House Republican leadership than the person who ended up replacing her. She voted more in line with Trump, but she was removed because she wouldn't buy bullshit lies about the election results. That's another thing I hear Dan Crenshaw saying. I remember like QAnoners and weird election conspiracy theorists would confront him about the election, and he'd be like, nah, it's all bullshit. You're not going to overturn the election. Next question. And then he'd just move on. He's like, we need to acknowledge we lost and we're going to win next time. Goodbye. It's over. And then he would move on. Those are two things that I respect, but it's also things I shouldn't have to respect because these are like basic things. But I guess we're living in such weird times that like I guess it doesn't feel that basic.
Look, like I said, I mean,
pause for a second. Somebody just said in chat that Crenshaw's spokesperson accused the girl of being 18 and planted by Crenshaw's opponent.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up after we were through this video. That's what I found. But yeah, that was the answer. Was he said it's sad that our opponent is so desperate for attention that he used an 18-year-old to question Dan's faith as part of a cheap political.
That girl
stunt.
did not look anywhere near 18.
That sounds like Epstein.
I don't know if I have no clue if she's 18 or not, but I mean he would if he's gonna be alleged something like that. I mean he has to have evidence, right?
Yeah, it says that Ellis was the campaign manager, I believe. Ellis says the 10-year-old girl is actually an 18-year-old adult. He does not reveal any relationship to the questioner, who was also allegedly pictured holding Ellis's campaign yard signs before the event started.
Huh.
Or maybe Ellis is... The Twitter thread post Tuesday by Jamison Ellis, a conservative candidate for Texas' 2nd congressional district and Crenshaw's opponent. Okay, so it's they're saying that she held a yard sign for.
Well, he took the bait and reacted as poorly as he possibly could. So even if she is,
I don't even know. Does he provide any evidence that she's 18? She could be. She could be like it could be put up by her father or parents or something. She could be put up by the campaign, but none of that is evidence she's 18. That feels like a very specific accusation.
Right.
Yeah. I can't find any more on that. Just off the bat, this article was posted a few hours ago.
Oh, okay.
And it seems to be one of the most updated.
I won't interrupt anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just this whole thing is hitting me like a wave.
You're a congressman that represents the state of Texas. Is there anything else you can do? I mean,
yeah, they're bringing up that she's 18, almost like Dan Crenshaw asked her out on a date later after this happened or something. Well, she's actually 18.
Have you been following? The dude,
no, go ahead.
The Matt Gaetz story is so fucking bizarre, man. It has so many twists and turns. My God.
Yeah, I paid attention to it months ago when it was first dropping, but I haven't really checked in with it anytime recently. So I don't know if there's any. I mean, is he still being charged with crimes or anything like that?
So he is still being charged with crimes but the person who. So he said he was being like extorted, and apparently there might actually be some truth to that. But that doesn't mean he didn't still commit the crime, because you can be extorted off of 100% bad things you actually did. In fact, that's the best type of extortion usually, because that usually means they actually have you by the balls.
Yeah.
I see.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I mean, if I went and saw them, that would gain a lot of attention for me and do nothing for them. That's the truth.
So they're asking why he didn't go visit the political prisoners.
Yeah, why would he do that?
And he's saying, that would bring a lot of attention to me and do nothing for them.
Wait, let
So
me
that's why-
ask you.
true.
Can I ask a question then? Okay, let's bring this forward. Okay, let's say so. I think these people did a bad thing, right? And if you go visit them, you're associated with that bad thing. Let's also be honest. So let's be morally consistent here. Do we think these same people? Let's say Jeffrey Epstein was put in solitary confinement, right, before he killed himself. So when he was put into that solitary confinement, and it was for an inhumane period of time, if you were a politician, would you go visit Jeffrey Epstein? It's like, I stand with Jeffrey in his struggle against this political... No, of course not. Because you don't want to be associated with that disgusting bullshit, even if you think it's wrong as like a politician. And so I think Dan Crenshaw has made the political calculation of, number one, it's not worth the trouble. And number two, he might not want to be associated with the people who stormed the Capitol directly, even if he thinks the solitary confinement was wrong. It would take a lot of political will to be willing to associate yourself with that type of stuff. Like anytime you would see like a Democrat like associate with like a person who they believe has like served their due time for 20, 30 years for some murder, and then they go and visit or do anything with them, they get a ton of shit, like as if they did the murder themselves.
Yeah. I would go visit Ghislaine Maxwell.
Why is that?
I would. Conjugal.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
He
I
went
disavow
there.
Billy. I disavow Billy.
Oh,
He went
sorry.
there.
Sorry.
I
If she
disavow.
was, if she put me on the conjugal list, I don't know. Could you do that? Is that legal?
Why are you thinking about this?
Because she's cute.
Okay.
She's a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah.
She's probably lonely.
Okay.
One of her greatest loves hung himself in prison.
Okay. If you want a 60-year-old woman, find one that's not in prison.
I don't want one.
Okay. Then why are we talking about this?
Because Dolly Parton would never leave her husband. I have a thing for women of advanced age. I cried the day Betty White died. Vanna White. That's my new White.
This is the part where I play the crickets chirping.
What do you mean crickets? This is just simply
One time, me and Billy were at a party, and Billy told a joke that no one laughed at, and it was outside in the summertime.
Yeah.
And there were literal crickets chirping.
Yeah, and Chris Reagan said there's actual crickets chirping.
Yeah.
And I'd never been so shot down in my entire life.
The thing is you can hear Billy like trying to meme it back into existence, right? And he's like building a sandcastle, and the waves are just fucking they didn't knock him over, they knocked him out. The sandcastle was destroyed. I'm sorry, man.
I am Atlantis.
You're Atlantis. You're the whole city of
I am
Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Oh man.
So this clip that we were gonna watch.
Yeah, I obviously wouldn't visit Ghislaine Maxwell. She has no idea who I am.
That's the truth. Hey, if you want a performance,
know
they
who
can
I
give you a performance.
am.
What? She wasn't on the island that day?
She doesn't give a damn about me.
I wish I had the authority to help. We do not. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you we have authorities that we don't.
There's nothing you can do. Why do we need you? Right. That's why we're doing
I'm not a dictator, sir. If you want to elect dictators, then you wouldn't live in America.
I'm not a dictator, sir. I know you might be confused by my eye patch.
Speaking of evil men and eye patches, you hear about the leader of the Oath Keepers?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
he's
God.
in jail right now.
Conspiracy and sedition. I remember I hear for everyone, like, where's the conspiracy? Where's the sedition charges? Where's the treason? And now we're like, here's a list of 11 people. Like they had guns stored outside D.C. ready to send in quick response team, take over the Capitol once they had control of it. And they were like naming neighborhoods that I walked through.
Wow.
So I was walking, and there's a chance that I was my metro passed a bunch of buildings. I had a bunch of firearms in it ready to go into the Capitol.
That's batshit crazy. I knew some heads would roll because you could see that certain parts of it were orchestrated by bad actors.
And they're subpoenaing Eric Trump's phone records. And
I want Nick Fuentes to be charged.
Oof, I'm waiting. The thing is, you can see the Trump administration fighting this on every level, right? Like, for example, trying to cover stuff by executive privilege that just are clearly not covered by executive privilege, of him communicating with people that's not even in his administration, trying to say his communications with Steve Bannon are somehow controlled by executive privilege. It's ridiculous. Not to mention, like, finding out that the organizers of the event were instructed to use buy burner phones specifically with cash to communicate with the White House. Like, this is stuff that, you just start wandering. You just start wandering like, what's all this? I scratch his chin, furrows eyebrow. What's going on here? And you just keep getting more and more info. And this is why we need an investigation.
The way he held a rally down the street from the Capitol and told people to go there or they wouldn't have a country, and then the amount of time he waited to say anything publicly.
And it's been showed by his staffers have commented that he specifically did not, when he was told he did not want to tell them to stop being violent.
Yeah, so was it Pelosi or Pence or someone that gave the okay to the National Guard? Do they know that?
I think I'd have to go back and check.
Well, I thought it ended up having to be Pence. I think it was the connection was actually somebody who had a connection with the National Guard on a personal level that had to like go around, I'm pretty sure, to get them there. It was very strange. I wish I knew exactly, because I know I'm not making this up, but I am pulling it out of a very cloudy memory bank. So don't quote me on that, kids. But there's something there where it was like hours after they should have shown up, and Trump was turning down the National Guard for some time, right?
He set it in motion, and then it was happening exactly how he wanted, and he was one of the few people who could put a stop to it, and he didn't. It's all so clear. I don't even know why it's even up for debate.
The thing is, I don't even know if he necessarily set it in motion. The thing is, for me, I just think he didn't care that it was happening at the very least.
So you don't think him having the rally where he had it and telling them to march down to the Capitol?
There are capitals and there are protests in D.C. all the time. It's not enough. Yeah. It's not enough.
But ran by Trump on the day of the certification of the votes?
Well, that's what they were protesting, the certification of the votes.
They were protesting certification of the vote because Trump is convinced, or he is convincing others, that the election was stolen, which is a complete lie. And that's the problem with the whole thing. The whole protest shouldn't even happen in the first place because the election wasn't stolen. It's all bullshit. But if you believe the election is stolen, then storming the Capitol all of a sudden seems like a rational thing to do.
I feel like him saying there's only one person who can stop this, Mike Pence. It's happening right now. He held a rally literally right before it, being like, go down there with me and we'll stop him. This is the only way we can stop it. I feel it like all of that being considered and his inaction after it got out of hand, it seems like he wanted it.
Well, he wanted everybody to go to the Capitol and protest in his favor, and he wanted people to push Mike Pence to make the choice.
But then people broke in, and he did nothing after that for hours.
Yeah, I think that's where the negligence might lie, is the after. I don't think the before is necessarily that criminal. It seems to be commonplace.
It just seems kind of like he wanted it to happen.
Well, I think he reveled in it up until he realized what a mistake he made not doing anything about it once they broke through. You got people there who are just basically museum security guards guarding the place, and you don't send any real backup for hours.
And then also, I saw a video of Nick Fuentes outside of the Capitol with a bunch of his followers, and then
his flags were everywhere. The AF flags, they were everywhere.
In the building too. So I find it hard to believe Nick Fuentes didn't tell some of his followers to go in there.
I mean, it's hard to say. Everything was so chaotic, and a lot of people didn't understand what was going on. So I do think the idea of some of your followers not wandering, but going into the Capitol uninstructed to because they were caught up in the fucking spirit of fuck the government isn't hard to believe, because most revolutions are not like everything is perfectly organized and it's usually like riots or a big thing happens that expand, and there might be a few people who had plans who then take advantage of the chaos, and then other people jump on board because they're also like, fuck it, I guess I'm with this now. And I think that's probably along the lines of what happened. From like now this Oath Keeper shit is coming out. Now it's showing that clearly some of this shit was orchestrated.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that could have just showed up to LARP like they're doing something with Nick Fuentes. They had their flags.
Wasn't what's his name? Roger Stone meeting with some of the
Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers?
Was it the Oath Keepers?
I know he had Proud Boys detailing him that day for
because
like
now
security.
there's all this leaked communication of them orchestrating the march to the Capitol and them figuring out how to get normal people that were there to follow them to take part in it. Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Didn't they triangulate everyone's location and everything, like their cell phone?
They're trying to. I've never been contacted by the FBI, by the way, which I don't understand how that's possible. Because everybody,
for this or for other things.
For the Capitol,
Yeah, I think it was New York Times. They did an investigation. They followed it from the rally all the way till the end of the storming of the Capitol. And they have a whole bunch of data that I had to have been subpoenaed if they have it. And it kind of shows how it was incited and then how the people that wanted to see this happen talked a lot of very gullible people into helping them do it.
Not even just gullible, actual crazy people.
Yeah, mentally. Yeah, the QAnon shaman guy, that guy is mentally ill. There was the other guy too that was he stole like the body armor or the shield or something. Yeah. That guy was not all there either. The guy whose dad was like a judge in New York.
There's a lot of people that have been pushed a narrative to make them believe lies, and it's easy to believe lies when the truth or the story the main an inconvenient truth.
Right. We're more likely to believe lies if they're beneficial to us or they fit our views. Obviously, we have a bias towards our own opinions. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see, though. That's what this investigation is all about. We'll see. They'll get to it. I think Nick Fuentes probably won't get wrapped up for this.
Probably not.
Because I think
Baked Alaska, I guess, though, that's enough, right?
Baked Alaska could get hit. He was definitely in the room. There was a lot of...
Yeah, he live streamed himself sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk trying to call Trump on her phone. But he's already in jail for assaulting someone in his home state. So actually, they also uncovered that Baked Alaska was running an election fraud scam for the Hillary and Trump election, right?
Yeah, it was a phone scam, right?
It was a phone scam being like, or it was a texting phone scam. It was like, you can vote by phone now. He basically got the records of all the Democratic voters in his state and sent them these texts, trying to trick them into thinking they already voted so they wouldn't actually go out and vote.
Yeah, false voting.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody responded, I vote Trump, he'd be like, actually, you need to go vote in person, specifically.
It's looking like your vote's not registering via phone. Please go in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, yes, doing something like that could harm voter turnout in your favor, I don't know.
I just want everybody to get along and be happy. That's never going to happen.
No. Not everyone.